You feel ignored because you're showing them a mask, a persona. The real work isn't for them to see. It's done in the shadows of your own soul, facing your doubts, your fears, and integrating them. This is the path to becoming whole. You don't build skill. You build a self so authentic and powerful. Its presence is an undeniable force. So go to work on yourself and slight pause for impact. Then deliver the line with conviction. Be so good they can't ignore you anymore. Let's talk about success, but not in the way most people do. I want to pull back the curtain on what it truly means to achieve something great. Success isn't some lottery ticket you stumble upon. It's not about being in the right place at the right time, knowing the right people, or being born with a silver spoon. True, lasting success is about something much deeper. Something you have complete and utter control over. It's about forging yourself into the kind of person who is worthy of success. Think about it. We're living in an age where good enough has become the gold standard. So many people are just going through the motions, waking up, sleepwalking through their day, doing the bare minimum to get by, and then throwing their hands up in frustration, wondering why real opportunity always seems to pass them by. They'll point fingers at their circumstances, their boss, the economy, anything and everything but the person staring back at them in the mirror. But I've spent years studying the architecture of achievement, and I've learned a fundamental, unshakable truth. The world doesn't care about your excuses. The marketplace, in its beautiful and brutal honesty, only rewards one thing: value. It's the harshest but fairest teacher you'll ever have. It pays dividends to those who bring value to the table and completely ignores those who don't. Your intentions, your dreams, how hard you think you're working, none of it matters. The only currency that counts is results. The only language the world understands is the value you create for others. And here's the most beautiful part of this truth. Creating value is a skill. It's not a gift bestowed upon a chosen few. It's a craft that can be learned, honed and mastered by anyone who is willing to pay the price. So, what is this price? It's the price of becoming a lifelong student of your craft. It's the price of cultivating a ravenous appetite for learning and personal growth. It's the price of drawing a line in the sand and refusing to accept mediocrity in any corner of your life. It's the price of understanding that excellence isn't a final destination you arrive at. It's the very road you travel on. Let me share a principle that is the bedrock of all success. Your income will rarely exceed your personal development. It's a simple equation. If you want more, you must become more. If you want your circumstances to change, you must change. If you want things to get better, you must get better. This isn't just some feel-good, positive, thinking mantra. This is the law of cause and effect in its purest form. Most people have it all backward. They chase the rewards without being willing to pay the price. They crave the recognition without putting in the work to develop the skills. They want the paycheck without becoming valuable enough to earn it. But the universe of success doesn't operate that way. It has its own set of rules, and one of the most sacred is this: you must give before you get. Now, when I say give, I'm not just talking about charity, although that has its own profound importance. I'm talking about giving your value. I'm talking about solving problems. I'm talking about dedicating your work, your skills, your ideas, and your innovations to making other people's lives better. The person who masters the art of giving exceptional value will never have to search for opportunities. The world is starving for value, and it will reward those who provide it with open arms and a full wallet. But this is where so many get stuck. They fall into the trap of thinking that good enough is, well, good enough. They believe that just doing their job adequately is sufficient. They aim to meet expectations, not shatter them. But let me be clear, adequate performance gets you adequate results. Meeting expectations gets you average rewards. And average, my friends, is the silent killer of greatness. Imagine this. There are only two ways to have the tallest building in town. You can spend your life trying to tear down all the other buildings, or you can focus all your energy on building yours higher. Most people are stuck in demolition mode. They waste precious time and energy criticizing their competition, finding fault in others, and manufacturing excuses for why someone else is succeeding. But the person who truly grasps the philosophy I'm sharing with you today takes a radically different path. They focus entirely on building themselves higher. Building yourself higher means becoming a true student of excellence. It means studying your craft with such intensity that you know it better than anyone else in your field. It means developing a skill set so powerful and unique that it makes you indispensable. It means creating a level of value that others simply cannot replicate. Let's break down the fundamental difference between amateurs and professionals. Amateurs practice until they get it right. Professionals practice until they can't get it wrong. Amateurs show up when they feel motivated. Professionals show up day in and day out whether they feel like it or not. Amateurs are content with good enough. Professionals are obsessed with the pursuit of excellence. This amateur mindset is a cage that keeps people trapped in a cycle of mediocrity. They do just enough work to keep from getting fired, and their employers, in turn, pay them just enough to keep them from quitting. It's a quiet conspiracy of mediocrity, and both parties are in on it. The professional mindset, however, is a declaration of independence. The professional understands that their role isn't just to check boxes on a job description. Their real job is to become so valuable, so essential, that the thought of losing them would be a genuine catastrophe for the organization. This leads us to a pivotal distinction: the difference between being interested and being committed. When you're interested in something, you do it when it's convenient. When you're committed to something, you do it no matter what. Interest is a casual fling, commitment is a lifelong love affair, and when that commitment borders on obsession, a healthy, channeled obsession, it becomes the rocket fuel for greatness. You must become obsessed with your own evolution. You have to be obsessed with learning, growing, and improving every single day. You must become obsessed with creating overwhelming value for others. This isn't an unhealthy fixation. It's a purposeful obsession. It's the very force that cleaves the extraordinary from the ordinary. Now, I need to address a fear that holds so many people back from this pursuit. They're terrified of standing out. They're afraid of being different. They're paralyzed by what other people might think or say. But listen closely to this. If you want to be remarkable, you have to accept that people are going to make remarks about you. Some of those remarks will be cheers, and some will be jeers. That is the price of admission to the arena of greatness. The person who tries to please everyone will ultimately please no one, least of all themselves. You cannot climb the mountain of excellence while worrying about the opinions of those who have chosen to set up camp in the valley of mediocrity. You cannot soar to new heights if you're desperately trying to fit in with the flock. Excellence, by its very nature, demands that you separate yourself from the pack. And yes, that separation will make some people uncomfortable. But what I've learned is that the people who criticize your relentless pursuit of excellence are almost always the same people who are complaining about their own lack of opportunity. It's easier for them to try and pull you down to their level than it is for them to find the courage to rise up to yours. Don't let them. Your commitment to excellence has nothing to do with them. It is a sacred contract with the person you were always meant to become. Excellence isn't a skill you acquire, it's an attitude you adopt. It's a conscious decision you make about how you will approach your work, your relationships, and your entire life. It's the moment you decide to reject the comfortable path of the ordinary and embark on the challenging, thrilling adventure of the extraordinary. It's the moment you stop making excuses and start making progress. But excellence without a clear direction is just wasted energy. It's like revving a Ferrari engine in neutral. You must become excellent at something that matters. You have to develop skills that solve real-world problems for real people. You must create value that others are not only willing, but eager to pay for. The secret is to find that magical intersection between three things: what you are deeply passionate about, what you can become the best in the world at, and what the world actually needs. This intersection is where your purpose ignites. This is the sweet spot where you stop trading your precious time for money and start creating value that works for you, multiplying and compounding over time. This is where you transform yourself from being a replaceable cog in the machine to becoming an indispensable linchpin. This is where you develop what I call true economic power. Economic power is the ability to create value that is so unique and profound that others cannot easily duplicate it. It's having a skill set that is both rare and in high demand. It's being the person who can walk into a room and solve problems that leave everyone else stumped. It's creating products or services that people don't just want, but genuinely need. The incredible thing about developing this economic power is that it gives you the ultimate freedom, the freedom of choice. When you are immensely valuable, you don't have to chase opportunities. Opportunities hunt you down. When you are world-class at what you do, you don't worry about job security. Your skills are your security. When you create exceptional value, you don't have to haggle for fair compensation. The marketplace automatically and generously rewards you. But how do you build this power? It starts with embracing a philosophy I call the slight edge. The slight edge is all about the small, seemingly insignificant things you do consistently over time. It's about making choices that are easy to do, but just as easy not to do. It's about understanding that monumental success isn't the result of one giant, heroic leap, but the culmination of thousands of small, intelligent steps taken in the right direction, day after day. Most people tragically underestimate the compounding power of small, daily improvements. They crave instant gratification, immediate results, and overnight success. But the universe doesn't work that way. Success is built brick by brick, one day at a time, one good decision at a time, one tiny improvement at a time. Let me paint a picture for you. If you were to read just 10 pages of a good book in your field every single day, by the end of the year, you'd have read over 600 pages. That's the equivalent of 12 300-page books. In a decade, that's 120 books. Do you think reading 120 carefully selected books on your subject would make you more valuable? Do you think it would arm you with insights and knowledge that your peers lack? Do you think it would make you impossible to ignore? Of course it would. But here's the catch with reading 10 pages a day. It's easy to do, which also means it's incredibly easy not to do. Missing one day doesn't feel like a big deal. Skipping a week doesn't seem catastrophic. But over the long arc of time, the person who consistently reads those 10 pages and the person who doesn't will end up in completely different universes. This is the slight edge in action. Small, positive disciplines, repeated with consistency over time, lead to astonishing achievements. Small, seemingly harmless neglects, repeated over time, lead to epic failures. The choice is yours every single day. The slight edge applies to every facet of skill development. If you commit to practicing your core craft for just 1 hour each day, in a year, you will have invested 365 hours into your own improvement. That's more than 9 full-time work weeks dedicated solely to getting better. In 5 years, that's 825 hours. In 10 years, that's 650 hours. Malcolm Gladwell famously wrote about the 10-0-0 hour rule, which suggests that it takes about 10-0-0 hours of deliberate practice to achieve true mastery in a field. At 1 hour a day, you might not hit that mark for 27 years, but here's the secret. Most people won't even invest that single hour. This is what separates the true professionals from the lifelong amateurs. Professionals understand that self-improvement isn't something extra, it's part of the job. They don't wait for their employer to sign them up for a training course. They don't wait for someone else to invest in their development. They take radical ownership of their own growth and improvement. The professional understands a critical truth of our modern world. What got you here won't get you there. The skills that made you successful yesterday may be completely obsolete tomorrow. The only real security you have in this rapidly changing world is your unwavering ability to learn, adapt, and improve. This brings us to another non-negotiable principle. You must become a passionate, lifelong learner. The moment you stop learning, you start becoming irrelevant. The moment you think you know it all, you start falling behind. The moment you become satisfied with your current level of skill, you can be sure that someone else who is hungrier, more committed, and more driven is starting to catch up. Lifelong learning isn't just about accumulating degrees or certifications, though formal education certainly has its place. It's about cultivating a state of perpetual curiosity. It's about constantly asking questions. It's about actively seeking out new challenges that stretch you. It's about adopting the mindset that you can learn something from every single person you meet and every single experience you have. The greatest learners are also the greatest listeners. They possess the humility to admit when they don't know something. They have the curiosity to ask the questions others are afraid to ask. They are wise enough to understand that the moment they stop learning from others, they place a self-imposed ceiling on their own potential. But learning without application is just a form of entertainment. You must take the knowledge you acquire and put it into action. You have to be willing to test new ideas, experiment with new approaches, and embrace failure as part of the process of succeeding. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's a critical stepping stone on the path to success. Every great achievement in human history was preceded by a string of failures. Every expert was once a bumbling beginner. Every professional was once a clueless amateur. The difference between those who achieve greatness and those who languish in mediocrity isn't that the great ones never failed. The difference is that the great ones learned to extract the lesson from every failure and use it as fuel for their next attempt. This is why I say you must fall in love with the process, not just the prize. You have to learn to enjoy the journey of getting better, not just dream about the destination of being the best. You must find deep satisfaction in the daily grind of improvement, not just wait for the final victory. When you fall in love with the process of improvement, something truly magical happens. The work no longer feels like work. The effort stops feeling like a sacrifice. The discipline no longer feels like a punishment. Instead, it all becomes a thrilling game, a grand challenge, a magnificent adventure. This shift in perspective is the key to unlocking sustained effort over time, because excellence isn't born from sporadic bursts of intensity. You can't become exceptional by only working hard when you feel motivated. You must be consistent, persistent, and relentless in your pursuit of continuous improvement. Consistency is the superpower that transforms ordinary people into extraordinary ones. It's not about being flawless, it's about being persistent. It's about showing up and doing the work every single day, especially on the days you don't feel like it. It's about pushing through when the work is tedious, difficult, or unrewarding in the short term. Most people dramatically overestimate what they can achieve in a day, but tragically underestimate what they can accomplish in a year. They get seduced by the promise of immediate results, and when those results don't materialize, they give up. But the person who understands the compounding effect of consistent, daily effort thinks on a different timeline. They are willing to be incredibly patient with the results, but fiercely impatient with their effort. This brings us to the necessity of building what I call professional habits. Professional habits are the non-negotiable daily disciplines that create the chasm between the successful and the unsuccessful. They are the things you do every single day, regardless of how you feel, because you know they are the building blocks of your growth and success. What are some of these professional habits? Reading for at least 30 minutes a day in your chosen field. Practicing your core craft for at least 1 focused hour a day. Exercising your body to maintain the physical and mental energy required for high performance. Planning your next day the night before. Regularly reviewing your goals and progress. Actively seeking out honest feedback on your performance. Building a network of relationships with other professionals in your industry. These habits may seem small and insignificant on their own, but their cumulative effect over months and years is nothing short of enormous. The amateur waits for inspiration to strike. The professional creates their own inspiration through disciplined action. The amateur works only when they are motivated. The professional works whether they are motivated or not. The amateur is fixated on the outcome. The professional is obsessed with perfecting the process. This professional mindset must extend to how you perceive problems and challenges. The amateur sees a problem as a roadblock, an obstacle to be avoided. The professional sees that same problem as an opportunity in disguise. The amateur shies away from difficult situations. The professional actively seeks them out, because they know that difficulty is where growth happens. You see, every unsolved problem is a potential business opportunity. Every daunting challenge is a chance to forge new skills. Every painful setback is a setup for a spectacular comeback. The person who learns to solve difficult and complex problems becomes immensely valuable. The person who can calmly and effectively handle challenging situations becomes indispensable. This is why you should never pray for an easier life. Instead, pray for the strength and wisdom to handle a more challenging one. Don't wish for fewer problems. Develop the skills to solve bigger and more meaningful problems. Don't hope for less responsibility. Prepare yourself to handle more. The marketplace showers its greatest rewards on those who can solve its biggest problems and handle its greatest responsibilities. The more value you can provide by solving problems, the more valuable you become. The more responsibility you can shoulder, the more opportunities will inevitably come your way. This isn't about recklessly taking on more than you can handle. It's about systematically and intentionally developing your capacity to handle more over time. Think about the people you admire most in your field. What do they all have in common? They can handle situations that would overwhelm others. They can solve problems that others find insurmountable. They see opportunities where others see only obstacles. They weren't born with these abilities. They developed them through years of consistent effort and deliberate, focused practice. This kind of development doesn't happen by accident. It requires what I call intentional growth. Intentional growth means being strategic and purposeful about your personal and professional development. It means taking the time to identify the specific areas where you need to improve, and then creating a concrete plan to strengthen them. It means actively seeking out challenges that will stretch your current abilities and push you beyond your comfort zone. Most people's growth is purely accidental. They only improve when their circumstances force them to. They only learn a new skill when it's required for a new job. They only rise to a new level when they are pushed by external pressures. But the person who commits to intentional growth doesn't wait to be pushed by life. They create their own internal pressure. They push themselves to grow before life has a chance to push them around. Intentional growth demands a high degree of self-awareness. You must have an honest and unflinching understanding of your strengths and your weaknesses. You must know what you do well and where you need to put in the work. You must be brutally honest with yourself about your current level of ability and realistic about what it will take to climb to the next level. This level of self-awareness can be deeply uncomfortable. It requires you to look in the mirror and acknowledge the areas where you aren't as good as you'd like to believe. It demands that you admit your mistakes and confront your shortcomings without making excuses. But this discomfort is the price of growth. You cannot improve what you are not willing to acknowledge. Self-awareness also requires that you actively seek out and welcome feedback from others. You must be willing to ask for honest, unvarnished opinions about your performance. You must develop the emotional maturity to receive criticism without becoming defensive. You have to be able to separate feedback about your work from your sense of self-worth as a person. The top performers in every field on the planet are also the best at seeking, receiving, and acting on feedback. They understand that an outside perspective is essential for spotting the blind spots they can't see themselves. They are secure enough in their own identity to handle an honest critique. But seeking feedback is only half the battle. You must then have the courage to act on it. You must be willing to make changes and adjustments based on what you learn. You must have the flexibility to abandon an old approach when you discover a better way. This flexibility is a critical survival skill in today's world. The methods that work today might not work tomorrow. The skills that are valuable now might be obsolete in the near future. The strategies that brought you success in the past might be completely insufficient for the challenges that lie ahead. This is why you must learn to become comfortable with change. You have to train yourself to see change not as a threat, but as an opportunity. You must develop the ability to adapt quickly and gracefully to new circumstances. You must become what I call a change master. Change masters don't just react to change, they anticipate it. They don't just survive disruption, they thrive in it, and sometimes they even create it. They understand that in a world of constant flux, the ability to change is the ultimate competitive advantage. Becoming a change master requires you to develop a high degree of what psychologists call learning agility. Learning agility is the ability to learn new things quickly and effectively. It's the capacity to unlearn old, obsolete methods and replace them with new, better ones. It's the willingness to constantly step outside your comfort zone and tackle unfamiliar challenges with enthusiasm. People with high learning agility are never satisfied with the status quo. They are relentlessly curious, always looking for a better way to do things. They are constantly experimenting with new approaches. They are willing to make mistakes in the pursuit of improvement and innovation. This experimental mindset is absolutely essential if you want to become so good they can't ignore you. You must be willing to try new things, test new ideas, and explore new possibilities, knowing that many of them will fail. You have to be willing to fail fast and fail cheap, so you can learn quickly and improve rapidly. However, experimentation without focus is a recipe for scattered effort and mediocre results. You must be strategic about where you direct your precious energy. You have to choose your areas of focus with great care, and then pursue excellence in those areas with a relentless, single-minded determination. This brings us to the vital concept of deep work. Coined by Cal Newport, Deep work is the ability to focus without distraction on a cognitively demanding task. It's the superpower that allows you to learn hard things quickly and produce work at an elite level of quality and speed. In our modern age of constant connectivity, endless notifications, and fragmented attention spans, the ability to engage in deep work is becoming both increasingly rare and increasingly valuable. Most people's work lives are dominated by shallow work. They spend their days reacting to emails, attending pointless meetings, making phone calls, and engaging in a flurry of activity that feels productive, but doesn't actually create significant value. They mistake being busy for being effective. They confuse activity with achievement. But the person who cultivates the ability to do deep work can accomplish in a few focused hours what it takes others an entire day or more to do. They can untangle complex problems that leave others baffled. They can generate the kinds of insights and innovations that are impossible to discover amidst constant distraction. Deep work requires immense discipline. It requires the strength to say no to the siren song of distractions. It requires the willingness to be bored, because true boredom is often the precursor to break through thinking. It requires the patience to wrestle with problems that don't have quick or easy solutions. In our culture of instant gratification, this kind of patience is a rare commodity. Most people want immediate results. They look for quick fixes and easy answers. But the problems that are truly worth solving, the opportunities that are truly worth pursuing, and the skills that are truly worth developing all require sustained, focused effort over a long period of time. This is the point where most people fail. They start with a burst of enthusiasm, but they don't have the grit to finish. Their motivation wanes when the work becomes difficult, or tedious, or frustrating. They quit just before the breakthrough, just before the real payoff, just before they earn the recognition they've been seeking. But the person who is committed to becoming so good they can't be ignored understands a fundamental truth. Success isn't about starting strong, it's about finishing strong. It's about persevering when others give up. It's about maintaining your high standards when others begin to lower theirs. It's about continuing to push forward when everyone else has run out of steam. This perseverance isn't just about stubborn, brute force determination. It's about intelligent persistence. It's about being wise enough to know when to pivot your strategy and when to persevere with your current course of action. It's about having the wisdom to distinguish between a temporary setback and a permanent roadblock. Intelligent persistence requires you to have a crystal clear vision of what you are trying to achieve. You must know not just what you want to accomplish, but why you want to accomplish it. Your why must be so powerful that it can withstand any obstacle you encounter. Your purpose must be more compelling than any setback you face. This clarity of purpose is the fuel that will sustain you through the inevitable tough times. It's what will motivate you when your natural motivation is hard to find. It's what gives profound meaning to your effort and deep significance to your sacrifice. Without a powerful why, you're just going through the motions. With one, you are on a mission, and that mission must be bigger than just yourself. It must be about more than just personal gain or individual recognition. It must be rooted in a desire to make a difference, to solve meaningful problems, and to create real value for other people. When your work is infused with a meaning that transcends your own personal benefit, you tap into a source of energy and motivation that is virtually inexhaustible. This is the ultimate secret that the most successful and fulfilled people understand. The best way to get what you want is to dedicate yourself to helping others get what they want. The fastest way to achieve your goals is to help other people achieve theirs. The surest path to recognition is to spend your time recognizing and developing the potential in others. This service mindset transforms everything. It fundamentally changes your relationship with your work. It revolutionizes how you interact with your colleagues, your clients, and your customers. It reframes how you view challenges and opportunities. Instead of constantly asking, "What can I get out of this?" you start asking, "What can I give?" When you approach your work and your life with a genuine service mindset, the pursuit of excellence becomes a natural byproduct. You stop doing just enough to get by, and you start looking for every possible opportunity to add more value. You stop focusing on meeting the minimum requirements, and you start obsessing about exceeding expectations. You stop being transactional in your interactions, and you start being transformational.